Sometimes things just appear to be wrong or out of sync with each other. And this is the case very clearly where at the moment the Garda Síochána is running a criminal investigation for a car bomb committed in 1972 in the border town of Belturbet. And at the same time, the single biggest atrocity of the Troubles was the Dublin and Monaghan bombings, 17th May 1974, in which 34 people perished. And in relation to that particular outrage, that is being handed over to Operation Denton, which is an operation being run by a British police force operating from Northern Ireland in relation to the activities of a group, also a volunteer group called the Glenanne Gang. Now, it is either legally possible to hand it over to a review to another jurisdiction, which I believe it is not, because by law and by practice, of course, the Garda Síochána is the only competent authority, policing-wise, to investigate a crime committed within the Republic. That doesn't mean, of course, that there shouldn't be good and spontaneous cooperation between the different police forces involved. It is correct, of course, that the Belturbet bombing should be properly investigated. Two unfortunate young people were murdered in the course of that bomb explosion, so there is no argument on that. But the rationale, the dichotomy of having two different approaches to two horrendous crimes, clearly, the Dublin and Monaghan bombings of 1974 resulted in far more victims, and I don't mean to do an equation between the loss of families in one place or the other, but clearly the Dublin and Monaghan bombings represented a major attack into the Republic, and that should be, by law, investigated by the Garda Síochána. So the question is, why has a decision been made to hand it off into Operation Denton for another police force outside the country to, in inverted commas, review? It's a very puzzling question. I've spoken about Operation Denton previously, and some key questions relate to its operation in the Irish Republic. Just the shorthand version is that it is an operation, a British policing operation set up by the PSNI and handed over to a British policing team, and it arose from a court case in Belfast that directed the PSNI to investigate the activities of the Glenanne Gang. That is the loyalist gang responsible for many, many atrocities and attacks in Northern Ireland, and indeed are associated with the Dublin and Monaghan bombings in terms of some of the activities that gave rise to that and the possible execution of it, but not, of course, the brains behind it. I should say that I'm very familiar with the cooperation arrangements which necessarily exist between police forces. There's mutual assistance agreements, there is provision for joint investigation teams, where both sides of a borderline can form a joint investigation team to discuss and to investigate a crime that in very simple terms has cross-border application. I made those remarks to John Boucher when he was head of Operation Canova and also by the extension Operation Denton. John is now the Chief Constable of the PSNI, but clearly that discussion did not go very far. Safe to say that British police officers have been operating in the Republic on this occasion under the umbrella of Operation Denton, supposedly because they have claimed some kind of jurisdiction of the Dublin and Monaghan bombings, and they've been allowed to do that by the Garda Commissioner, when clearly the boot should be on the other foot. It's putting the cart before the horse, because clearly Operation Denton should be probably Operation Tara, in the sense that it is something being run from the south into crimes committed in the south, and of course looking for the cooperation from the northern authorities, not working in reverse. The officers involved in Operation Denton, the British officers involved in Operation Denton, have repeatedly made it clear that they do not have any jurisdiction in the south. Yes, they are happily operating here and have been operating here well outside the realms of any normal cooperative arrangements. The bottom line is, how does that advance the Dublin Monaghan investigation, and how does it excuse Dublin and the guards from not investigating what is, of course, the most egregious crimes committed in the Irish Republic during the whole course of the Troubles? Recently, I asked the Minister for Justice to explain the reason why she has not exercised her authority to direct a commissioner to launch a separate inquiry into the Dublin and Monaghan car bombings of the 17th of May 1974. Clearly, he didn't need any such direction in relation to the Belturbet Garda investigation. And this also has regard to his personal knowledge of legacy crimes in Northern Ireland and in Ireland generally, also considering that the locus of these terrible crimes was within the jurisdiction of the state. Now that question has gone to the Minister. And as I said at the start of this little video, one just gets the feeling that things are not right. There's something strangely missing in this great equation of policing in the Republic and the people who currently run it and their relationship with the very significant authority figures in other policing jurisdictions. But in any case, let's see what the Minister says, and I will happily keep you informed.